I figure it's time to start doing this video because I've been like putting it off for like 10 episodes. With my recent guy killed, let's finally talk about skills. So, in Scavenger, your skills basically define what your character can sort of do in the game. And selecting your skills are very important, as well as your flaws. I'll note that for this, I basically have like, this like Scavenger wiki open. And you can like get a little bit of information about like all the different stuff. So let's just read a little bit about this. So skills are a type of game mechanic in Scavenger. When starting a new game, the player can spend a total of 15 points from a selection of positive skills called abilities, and negative skills called flaws. Abilities are positive skills that aid in survival by adding more options during encounters, more combat moves during fights, or additional crafting recipes. Each skill in the ability section is worth a certain amount of points, represented by a number of dots in the upper right hand corner of the skills rectangle, that when selected decreases the amount of points available to be spent, so the amounts left. Flaws are negative skills or traits that make survival more challenging or difficult. However, they allow additional points to be spent on abilities. Each skill in the flaws section is worth a certain amount of points, represented by a number of dots in the upper right hand corner of the skill rectangle, that when selected increase the amount of points available to be spent. Amount left, in other words, is a trade-off in that the player will be affected by the disadvantageous trait in exchange for additional points to be spent on positive abilities. So basically, it's worth knowing that you have like 15 points, and you have to like use them wisely to basically do stuff. And this like is like a breakdown like all different like skills, and this is a brief run through what they do. So I'll basically run through it here, I guess, a little bit. So I'll note that if you like say like you press a strong here, and if my finger was a little bit faster, I could open this up a little bit faster. Basically, you can get more like in-depth like stuff on what this all does. So like basically strong here basically increases your increments limit by 50 kilograms. You have a morale effect of plus 30%. Your melee attack multiplier is basically 50%. It gives you to create obstacles to combat move, and then it's usable in scavenging to increase the safety and sneak by increasing your loot chance. So basically, there's lots of stuff you can basically do. And of course, there's also encounters in this game. I've got to actually show them off, but I'll get to those eventually as well. But basically, going through all the skills, and would you please close? And yeah, I'm uploading these videos as I'm sort of going along today, but whatever. As you go through these skills, you basically have... actually, let's just do this for now. And we'll just do that. Basically, as you go through these skills, you sort of have to mission mash them to sort of like get the best of a character you can sort of like, get. If you want to, you can go like random and get like random stuff. So I could have medic, melee, eagle eye, tracking, botany, electrician, mechanic, ranged. I'll have metabolism, feeble, and veterinary here if I want to, but... you're getting a basic idea here, right? Basically, like, you could go random, but I don't really suggest it. It's usually better to go with, like, a selected amount of abilities to basically maximize your chance of living, because this game is hard. It will kill you in the worst possible ways. Alright, so let's just do a couple things here. So, well, first let's go through these skills here. So first things first, if you look at, like, say, the top right of, like, these skills, you see there's, like, these little square pips. And these square pips basically tell you how many, like, points you'll basically get from, like, the flaws, and how many skill points this will cost for, like, the skills up here. So if you look at metabolism here, it's got 2 pips right here to the corner. It's going to take 2 pips to basically get that one. If I dip metabolism down here, it'll basically give me 2 pips. And basically, the skills basically do as follows. Basically, strong basically makes it so you can carry more and not be encumbered. You get, like, the ability to create obstacles in combat. You basically see me use it a little bit. It's basically very good for, like, carrying more stuff and, like, getting a little bit stronger in combat. So, overall, really good skill to basically have. Medic basically gives you the ability to, like, improve your healing rate via procedure training and serialized techniques. So, basically, once you basically get, like, better, like, medical supplies, you can basically treat yourself very easily. And you get more details, like, stat bars in the condition screen. So basically, when you're looking at your skills, you can see like how much blood maybe you have left and stuff like that. Important stuff to basically keep yourself alive. Hiding basically lets you hide more effectively, which would be good for like stealthing up to people or for like getting away from people if you need to. Hiding is really important if like you want to stay hidden, and that's actually something worth doing, by the way. If like you're like hiding from like enemies, you can get like free hits on them. You can like sometimes get away from them easily if you don't want to fight them, stuff like that. Melee is like, better chance to hit melee. You do more damage when you hit people, and you get the ability you get the ability to do better defense in combat. So basically, you're a little bit more tougher when people are trying to get you in melee. And you saw that a little bit with like the dogmen. Those dogmen actually should have ripped me to shreds as soon as they got like close to me, like they did in like that that encounter where I died. But with melee, I was actually able to like stave off a few hits, basically, a lot of tough, basically, as a result of like these skills. It's worth knowing that you also saw the leg trip. Basically, that makes it, so you have a little bit of advantage in combat. That's what it's all about. Eagle Eye is basically, you can see one hex further. The normal and light and line of sight are basically like, as long as you can basically see further, you can basically see further. And you're able to see hidden things a little bit easier. So it's basically a nice little, like, awareness type of thing. Tracking is basically, the ability to spot older tracks more than normal. You can effectively hide tracks. If you sort of like, was like following along for the deer episode in like the last little bit of the episode, when I was hunting that deer, those like little red tracks were basically what I was basically following to basically spot that deer. So tracking would basically help a little bit with like basically being able to catch that deer and see where it's going. And if like I'm being hunted, like say if dogmen were chasing me at some point, I could try and hide my tracks a little bit so that they couldn't see me as much. Stuff you can basically do. Tracking. It's sort of like an expert one, so I don't usually take it, but it's there. Athletic basically lets you move around a lot easier without getting fatigue. You can run away faster, which is basically a sprint option I use a whole lot in like the dogman fights. And you can run further on the map before your moves deplete. So basically, it's a cool little feature for like moving around if you need it and for being fatigue less. Metabolism basically means that you take less water and food to basically live. So if you have a slow metabolism, you basically can like last longer in the wilds before you have to eat. Hacking basically gives you the ability to manipulate computers. That's so important if you want to get more money out of computer software and stuff and sell it to junk mart. It's also good for a couple of scenarios that basically pop up. I haven't done any scenarios yet, but I'll try and like do maybe one in the future episodes. Tough basically is like is what you can basically guess it does. It basically makes you tougher in combat. So you have a higher pain threshold, so you don't like pass out from like pain. You have a more immune system effectiveness, so you're better capable of like staving off like diseases and such. You're also more resistant to wounds, and like you can headbutt in combat, so that's like a defensive type of thing. The headbutt basically knocks people down, I think, for a little bit of damage. So stuff like that you can do. Electrician is basically the ability to like use electronic systems and components. So kind of like paired up with hacking, I guess. Electrician basically lets you do a couple like odd things in the game. It's not as important as hacking, but use it for a couple of like scenarios basically, and I think a couple other things. It's a very like lackluster skill, so to speak. Botany lets you basically know about herbs, fungi, and other useful plants. With botany, you can basically see what berries are poisonous, what berries are edible, what mushrooms are poisonous, what mushrooms are edible. You can also do a couple other nice things, like you can make herbal tea, I think, which is kind of fun. Trapping, you saw that a little bit, but basically you can trap and prepare animals. That basically lets you like make squirrel snares, and I didn't really show that off, but squirrel snares basically let you catch squirrels for a little bit of meat if you need to. You can also do some other stuff like I didn't really show it, but if you actually hunt a dogman and actually kill a dogman, trapping can be useful to doing a few things. Maybe I'll try and do that in the next little bit perhaps. Maybe I'll take trapping for like my next one perhaps. Lockpicking is basically all about bypassing locks and security devices. You saw that a little bit initially of like the pack build I was going with, but you can pick up lockpicks every so often if you're lucky. So lockpicking. Mechanic basically gives you the ability to like know knowledge about mechanical systems and such. I like it for making voices and like other like vehicles early in the game for carrying stuff around, but it's also got some other uses too. It's kind of expensive skill mechanic, but I like it for like what it's basically got. And then there's range. This is basically all about ranged weaponry. Ranged weaponry is all about like bows and arrows, guns and bullets and stuff like that. And you saw a little bit about it where like I had some bullets found like that that past run, and it's like I couldn't identify the bullets. That's just because I didn't have the range skill. And the range skill basically lets you see what the bullets all do for you. So with like the range skill, it's pretty important to basically see what's going on. Now that's basically all about the the abilities up here. Down here you have flaws, and flaws basically are like the reverse of abilities. They basically make things a little bit harder for you. Like fragile is basically the reverse of like tough. So you basically are like pain is more severe for you. Infections are more severe. You heal slower. It basically means that if you get into a fight, it's really going to hurt you a lot. Inveterate basically means you're out of shape and you fatigue faster than usual. I don't think you can run very easily when you got like inveterated, so you actually have less chance to basically run, I think, but whatever. You also have feeble. Feeble basically means that you're like incapable of like doing melee very effectively, and I think what it means is that it's like you can't take feeble if you're strong, and if you take strong, you can't take feeble because you got feeble. These are like the reverse of each other, and I'll note that a lot of these like flaws down here are the reverse of other things. So you take fragile, you can't take tough. You take inertia, you can't take athletic. You get myopia, you can't get eagle eye. You get insomniac. Insomniac doesn't really have like any like sister skill, but basically it's insomniac. And metabolism is of course a reverse of metabolism. So fast metabolism versus slow metabolism. You can probably guess what this is all about. Maybe I'll take that to show it off. Insomniac is all about the difficulty of staying asleep, and it's basically going to make like sleepless blah. It's going to mean you're going to have like less benefit when you basically sleep outside or anywhere really. It's a really crappy skill to basically take. It means you have to keep sleeping over and over again to try and get your like your well rested status, which is annoying. That's what this is going to do to you. So there's a little bit about the skills, and I haven't done this for for too long a time, but whatever. There's like all about the skills. Now, it's very important to basically try and pair up these skills to start trying to like maximize your benefit with them. So I'll note that with like trapping. Trapping is going to help me a lot with like getting more food, which is going to help offset like say like metabolism here. And if I get botany, botany will also help like keep myself well fed. So if I get like skills like trapping and botany, it actually makes you like a lot easier like offset like some bad skills like say metabolism here. If like I got like fragile, for example, fragile is like offset by say getting like ranged and like other abilities to basically like run away. So if I got like ranged and athletic with like fragile, I could like better run away from stuff so I won't get hit in the first place. And I think we'll keep ranged in here. And let's just go try and make a character here. So I got trapping, botany, and ranged. I think we're gonna take maybe. I sort of showed off tough and melee well enough, I think, in the last one. So I want to try and show off different stuff, where possible. By the way, I'm taking range because it's good to have like a combat skill with you at all times. You should always have like one combat skill of like range, melee, or strong with you, because if you get into a combat fight, it's gonna suck if you don't have like the ability to sort of defend yourself. Maybe I'll go with melee actually. I did quite a bit of range. I'll save like range for like future endeavors. So I'm gonna take melee, I think. And let's also take. Maybe I will take medic and tracking. Yeah, I'll take like this build here for the next run. Basically, what this build is going to be all about. I'm going to have like melee for like combating stuff in like melee. I'll have trapping and botany, which would be very helpful for like keep my metabolism up for like offsetting this thing. Medic and tracking are basically going to be like this sort of like filler skills. Medic is actually sort of going to be like not something I'm really going to show off a whole lot because I don't really know how to really show it off, to be honest. But tracking will be kind of useful, I guess, if I see a situation to basically use it. So there's that. All right, how long did that take for that little? All right, so I did about that for about 14 minutes here. We'll play for a little bit. We'll see if I can get a good start with this stuff, and we'll go from there. So confirm. So blah blah. We wake up disoriented. Now I'll note that you basically have like a few options here. I could always like melee it to basically prepare to fight it. I could also use botany to basically use my knowledge of plants to basically make the guy run away. Basically, with botany, you make some bad smelling a bad smelling odor that basically drives the dogman that's going to attack me away. And if I use medic, I can use like emergency dump on another stasis pod to basically give the dogman a tasty treat or something else. But I'm actually going to melee this guy in the face. So let's do that. You instinctively drop to a defensive stance as it bursts into the room. The beast stands on its hind legs like a man, but has the appearance of a ragged predatory dog. It looks right at you, and shrieks with a sound that freezes your blood. Despite your fear, you put up a pretty good fight. You move like you've done this before, and avoid most of his lunges. You even manage to deliver a blow that sends the beast reeling in a haze. Taking advantage of this distraction, you knock him to the ground and deliver a fatal blow with your knee. Though wounded, at least you're alive. Alright, so my upper right arm was scratched, and my left arm was spattered. So we got a little bit injured from that, but whatever. With the rush of adrenaline fading, blah blah. So basically this guy's finished off. It's much like Strong pretty much, but you know, with melee instead. If I go in here, you'll notice I have a Dogman corpse. And I'm actually going to show something very interesting with the Dogman corpse that, you know, it's actually worth noting that is like, you know, I have the tracking ability. I got tracking, and I never actually did this, and I really should show off what tracking can be used for, so you're going to see what I can do with tracking. Alright, now it's worth knowing that if you have tracking here, you can search for clues with tracking, so the dust on the ground makes it easy for your trained eye to pick up one of a set of tracks in particular. They seem to belong to a humanoid, dragging something, probably a mantle or a cloak. It was here fairly recently, probably in the past 24 hours. It entered through the doorway, walked to your stasis tank, went to the controller console, and then left. You bet good money that it wasn't the Dogman you just faced. So basically, like, you know, someone was here. Alright, so we can search through the console for records if we want to. We can get, you know, information on ourselves. And let's just climb up the window. I'll write all this, so we're just going to say confirm, confirm. Now, here's like something that's very cool. Basically, because I have, like, you know, this Dogman corpse, I can actually do something very interesting that I didn't really do like the last time around, but if you have a Dogman corpse and you have, like, you know, a shard and you have trapping, yes, trapping, you can make yourself meat and hide from a Dogman corpse. So this is something that's unique to trapping skill. Basically, because you can trap and prepare animals, you can actually better prepare a Dogman to get a Dogman fur coat. And this is a very like powerful item to basically get in an early game. And this is actually one of the things to note. If you actually start the game with, like, you know, strong or melee and trapping, you can get like this Dogman fur coat, which is a very awesome item to basically use. As you can see, it's worth a whole lot of money. And this actually gives you a little bit of armor when you're basically in combat, so it's cool for that too. So confirm. Now, I can actually put this on, and that'll actually make it so I don't have to worry about, like, you know, outdoor temperatures for a while, basically, which is cool. Now, this meat here, it's probably going to go bad because I can't really do anything with it, but whatever, it's going to be here because I can't really do anything with it, so, yeah. Ooh, there's a good shard. Put that there. Yes, I'm going through the shards here to see if I can get some good shards. And none of these shards are particularly good, so we'll take this shard here, and I'll use this for up for cutting stuff if I need to, I guess. Alright, so you notice that there's like tracking footprints there. If I have the hide tracks ability here if I want to, which basically lets me try and hide tracks a little bit. I've actually used like a lot of stuff over here besides, like, you know, just moving and all that. But basically you have like a run ability here if you want to start and stop running. You have like a hide ability if you want to try and hide your, you know, you're moving a little bit so you can, you know, move around stealthily. There's hide tracks, which basically lets you try to, like, you know, hide your tracks so people can't follow you if you're trying to follow you. And I used spy once, which basically lets you like spy on people, but you know, there's basically a lot of stuff you can do in this game. Alright, we approach the town, blah blah. I can scavenge here. There's going to be a bunch of stuff I can scavenge here. And boom! Hey, cool, I got a broken bottle. That's a little bit better than, like, you know, using this as a weapon, so let's put that right there. And I got a stone here. The stone's probably worth keeping around for a weapon. I should probably note, you can actually use stones as, like, you know, thrown stone if you want to, where you can actually throw it at people, but I don't usually do that because it's usually more effective to make a sling. And let's go to this one. Nothing. And nothing. Alright, well, let's just enter turn. And I forgot to unmute the game. Can I go here and unmute it? There we go. Isn't that nice? You can, like, go into the main menu, unmute, and come back. And I forgot I'm bleeding. So yeah, it's worth knowing that I actually have, like, the, like, you know, the medic ability. Like, the, you know, if you go to my skills here, I have, like, you know, medic. And, like, the, like, you know, the open player conditions here, you can actually see better details on what's going on. So basically, you get, like, this basic information still. Like, you have, like, you know, minor bruising, minor pain, you have a minor cut, minor, you know, stuff there happening. Here's, like, some other information you basically get. So I have, like, this blood supply, so my blood's looking pretty good. My immune system's looking all right, and I got fairly good pain tolerance. So as these bars, like, decrease, things will get more, like, you know, hairy for you. But basically, here's, like, some more information to let you know what's going on with your body, basically. Which is what the medic, you know, can really do for you if you want. Alright, let's scavenge, like, this little place here. Alright, so busted knuckles. While forcing open a promising looking container, your hands slip, leaving you with a sore hand. It's nothing serious, but it has hampered your scavenging efforts for now. So, apparently I hurt my hand. Well, I didn't wound it or anything, so I guess that's okay. Alright, well, I have to find some, stuff to scavenge, so let's go on this hill. And apparently there's someone over here, so I have to watch out for that. Alright, let's go here. I'll put in this stone right here so I can have a second stone to throw around if I need to. These tracks sort of worry me because there's also someone else around my area. So there could be like, bad mutters or someone else that's very deadly. Hey, I found some stuff. So there's a squirrel snare. That's basically stuff you can use for catching prey if you want to. There's some quality unlit torches, for at night. And there's a locked storage shed. I can't do anything about that right now. Nothing to find right there. I need to find a container of some sort. Now, this is something to note. I don't have like a whole lot of like looting abilities right now, so I'm actually sort of like playing a little bit with like, the random number generator at this point to try and do the best I can. Alright, so there's a dog apparently in my area. That's worth noting. Okay, so we got some shacks over here. Alright, let's scavenge this stuff. So there's a storage shed. So, rotted floorboards. Your foot slips through a rotting floorboard, causing you to trip. The scrapes and bruises will sting for a while, but thankfully it wasn't more serious. So apparently I scratched my lower left leg, and my armor was barely affected. So basically, this armor thing, because I'm wearing this dogman coat, this is actually counting as a little bit of armor for me, which is cool. And apparently there's berries here. So there's a handful of poison berries. And as you can see, I can actually tell what these berries are because I got the botany skill. So botany basically lets me see a little bit more about what's going on, like, the berries and such. Well, I found nothing here of note, so let's just push on. Let's go to right here, perhaps. Let's go right here. There's a little bit higher loot chance for a safety, risk, but whatever. Hey, I found something. Alright, so I found a cornucola bottle. I can use this to get a little bit of, like, sleek first. And there's cornucola. All the sweet you can stand and double the caffeine. Isn't that awesome? Pooh. Let's do some more scavenging. Destroy office building, you're next. And we'll scavenge this crumbling apartment building. Alright, so this is not so good with, like, the finds. If I actually keep getting bad finds like this, I'll just die horribly of, like, starvation because I didn't really get anything. Or someone will just kill me, because, that could happen too. Let's go up here, I guess. We'll step into this forest for the hut. Found nothing. And I'm crashing out for a caffeine high. But whatever. Wow, I am doing absolutely terrible with the scavenging. So this is something to note in this game. If you get really bad with, like, the scavenging, it'll, like, really affect you a lot. And it's raining a lot today, which is annoying. Found nothing. Alright, as you pick your way through the overgrown ruins, a particular sound becomes briefly audible. It disappears, but picks up again in a moment, as if carried by the air currents. It's a distant humming, like small gas engines out of place in the stillness of empty forests and abandoned buildings. So, that's actually a warning, by the way, to there's something up ahead, just so you know, just up here. Maybe I'll go to it and get myself killed. Just for the hell of it. Alright, so blah blah. Hey, I found something useful. I found a plastic bag. I can put that right there. I found some string. I can make myself a sling. And we can go here and use this. We can locate Detroit. So I know where Detroit is now. And there's Roy Riggs, so we can talk a little about, like, month-long strike again. And let's just go in here. We're just going to do a little bit of crafting. Let's use the newspaper. I guess I need a little bit more string for a sling. Yeah, there we go. Sling! Boom. And there's a weapon, so I can make use of, a little bit of ranged combat. Because those are better than, like, slung stones are better than, like, crap that, I'm just, like, doing stuff with. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. We're going to put these, like, pebbles into this, sling here. We'll do that. Put those there for now. Let's scavenge around a little bit more. Destroyed office building, go. Scavenge again. Alright, so there's a place to note. There's the ZomZom's. It's basically a place to eat. And that is a place to eat, but it's also a very dangerous place, just so you know. It's an event area. And you know what? Maybe I'll go there in a moment. We're just going to scavenge these places here first. Alright, I found a plastic bag. That's excellent for, more storage space, if I need it. And there's more pebbles in here if I need them. I think we're good with, like, ammo, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Whoops. And nothing. Alright, let's go here. As the source of the distant sounds finally comes into view, you stop in your tracks, unsure where it's safe to continue. Ahead you see a titanic warehouse like one of those distribution centers from before the apocalypse. There's a dull roar of ethanol generators combined with an occasional rev of unsuppressed exhaust from the off-road vehicles. Figures seem to be milling around a low station on the right, and the occasional ATV arrives or departs without fanfare. You don't think you've been spotted yet, this far out, though the fellow's activity is hard to tell. Alright, so I basically have two options here. I can leave ZomZom's or I can enter. So let's approach the warehouse. You cautiously approach the warehouse, noting a bright sign reading ZomZom's, a place to eat. The sign hangs over a giant garage door, which is fenced off behind tarp and barbed wire. Bright lights, welding arcs, and particular shadows can be seen in the fenced area, and a din of rowing chatter echoes from within the building. A semi-trailer attached to one of the loading bays acts as a makeshift gate, and a pedway into the warehouse. Ragged-looking figures line up alongside the trailer, watched over by the armed mercenaries. It looks more like a club than anything else, except for that tarp area. Just then, your stomach sinks when you realize there are trucks on the other side, of offloading prisoners and slaves of some sort. Biting back panic, you reason that showing fear now might mark you as a target, and try not to break your stride. Mercifully, no one seems to care. Alright, so let's approach the line. While in line, you feel a flutter of anxiety each time the line advances. With each step, you try to catch a glance of what's through the doorway in the trailer, but you still can't tell. Most of the people in line are ragtag looking, wearing mismatched clothes, and stinking of sweat. Some confused, others bored, the guards are better groomed by comparison. Though you suspect they'd just as soon marry you for your clothes if they weren't being paid. Up a few wooden plank steps, you'll step inside the semi-trailer, and hollow sounds of a crowd echo down the narrow corridor for the warehouse. To your right is a clipboard and a mesh booth where an attendant is collecting fees and weapons, and stamping people before they walk down the trailer into the warehouse. Stock or spectator, the attendant drones, looking discerningly past you. So here's something to note. If you want to be really stupid, select stock. We're going to select stock. Hand, she demands, reaching for a stamp as you present your hand. She applies the symbol and number, then nods to another grisly merc, who checks you for weapons. You receive a chip for your confiscated items and are ushered down the trailer. You hear a demand behind you answer, spectator, the attendant, before passing into a wall of sound inside the warehouse proper. So you want to select spectator if you're smart here, and if you select stock, bad things happen. Inside, it's 1 part Super Club, 1 part Gladiator Pit. A wall of sound assaults your ears as you cross the threshold, part human cacophony, part drainer exhaust. Mostly frenetic industrial music and a smell of food and smoke. You can't hear it over the noise, but you can feel your stomach rumble in the smell of sweat and barbecue. The cavernous warehouse is dominated by a dirt floor arena with high mesh walls. Spectators ring the pit on 3 sides. The 4th reserved for a large garage door leading outside into the tarp-fenced courtyard. Beyond the door you catch the flash of welding arcs where Pier's scrapyard rows are being prepped. And opposite the garage door, the thing you really care about right now. A wide booth with grills, spewing sweat, and spicy smoke into the rafters above. People clamor to get at it and walk away with their prize smeared over hands and lips alike. Barbecue. You wade through dirty patrons intent on manhandling some ribs or beans and rice or whatever it is you've got cooking over there. Who knows how long you've been in cryo? How long it's been since you've had a hot meal? Pressing your way through the final wall of hungry patrons, you get an elbow on the counter and desperately try to make eye contact with one of the servers. A few eternal minutes later, one of the apron-clad food slingers glances at you and you nod like an exciting dog. He reaches into a smoker box, withdraws a loaded skewer, and places it in your hand. Sweet, succulent barbecue. Savory at first, you start to grow paranoid that it'll be snatched from your hands, and you bear it down with renewed fervor, huddling with it against your lips as you absolutely walk away from the grill. This meat. It's like good, fully developed veal. Not young, but not yet beef. Yes, very definitely like that. And not like any other meat you've ever tasted. In fact, so much so that you think no person with a palate of ordinary, normal sensitiveness could distinguish it from veal. It is a mild, good meat, with no other sharply defined or highly characteristic taste, such as, for instance, goat, high game, and pork calf. The steak is slightly tougher than the prime veal, a little stringy, but not too tough or stringy to be agreeably edible. The roast is tender and in color, texture, smell, as well as taste. Strengthens your certainty that all the meats you happily know, veal is the one meat to which the minced meat is accurately comparable. Just then, an announcer pipes up. With the same oscillating voice every strip club DJ seems to have, he starts hyping the crowd. "Can you count suckers?" he shouts. Patrons start yelling back. "I said, can you count suckers?" On cue, a testosterone-fueled wave of shouts comes from the floor. "Raise those numbers!" He calls with expectation, and everyone raises their fists in unison. The music changes, lights switch to UV, and numbers appear on all the stamped hands. Your heart starts to race as you realize what's happening. Looking around, everyone has a stamp, but most of them don't look like yours. Everyone has numbers, but it's clear now what the symbols are. Most patrons have silhouettes or vultures next to their numbers. You look down at your hand. Yours is a lamb. The announcer calls a number, a low number. You feel a bit nauseous, but also relieved. You raise your hand. Nearby patrons look subtly, then quickly lose interest in it. A scream of protest erupts from the far side of the arena. Everyone nearby looks across, where a commotion is starting. A man is hoisted into the air like a crowd surfer at a concert, and propelled to the arena gate. Patrons claw the remainder of his barbecue from his filling hands, fighting over it like dogs. Guards wrangle the struggling man and toss him into the dirt floor in the arena as the gates is sealed behind him. The winner is a filthy, weak, and confused-looking human. As he clambers to his feet, a clacking and squeaking sound crescendos from the opposite side of the arena. Cheers start erupting throughout the warehouse as the source of the noise rolls into the arena through the garage door. The bot is little more than a heavy treaded ring of barbed spikes. A haphazardly hung LED ticker sits atop its mass, flickering the words, Morning Star, confirming your suspicions as to its nature. Without pausing, the bot starts closing in on a human who, to his credit, has given up rattling the gate and is now facing a more immediate danger. He starts circling left, leading the bot to one side of the pit. then dashes right as fast as he can, bypassing the bot. The move buys him a few seconds as the bot spins in place on his treads, but he ends up in the same situation on the reverse side of the arena. This continues for a few laps, with the human visibly wearing down. Perhaps realizing his error, he switches tactics and leads the robots towards a support column, and allows it to get close before ducking around behind it. The bot starts turning in place, but the treads get hooked on a pillar, and for a moment, it appears to be stuck. You can sense the tingle of hope in the man as he watches the bot rock to and fro for several seconds. Guess what happens next? However, the bot's rocking eventually frees it, and it turns to face him again. Crestfallen, the man returns to his original strategy of dodging a robot like a bullfighter, even more slowly each pass. It doesn't take long for the robot to wear it down its already weakened prey, and it scores his first hit, trampling his legs under his treads. The man cries of pain is lost in a wave of cheering from the crowd as the robot backs up. The man hardly has time to limp before it rams him again, this time falling through and impaling him against the wall. Drunk with bloodlust, the crowd is now screaming as the robot backs away once more from the stumbling, bleeding man. The bot rams him into the wall one more time and backs away, this time with a human stuck on its spikes. The crowd cries out in ecstasy, which eventually simmers down to a rabble as the arena service personnel remove the entrails. Your mouth agape, you suddenly feel a wave of nausea. You begin to look around panicked. So if you want to at this point, you can basically rub off the stamp, you can try to leave, or you can just see what happens next. So let's see what happens next. Unsure what to do next, you look around the room anxiously waiting for something to happen. Word is you've got a good medical plan, the voice startles you, even amidst the shouting crowd, and you turn to find a young man with an old face. He looks to be of Asian descent, with a hair like a mop, big aviator glasses, and an improbable white fur coat. Relax, I don't work here. In fact, I'm going to try and make sure you don't eat her. Come on. He turns and heads towards the garage door. Since that's away from the arena's human-sized gate, you decide to follow. You get the sense he's a patron, too, or at least not with the management, as neither the guard nor the patron seem to pay him much attention. A little bird told me, he shouts over the crowd and music, you might know a thing or two about cryogenics. He talks over his shoulder as he walks, as if tossing words your way. I know a guy who's looking for some heavy-duty cooling units. He may be willing to trade for some info and where he could score a few. You arrive at the massive garage door, and the cool air seems to tingle with ozone. His name's the Stout. Come on, dude, I'll introduce you. Out in a robot prep yard, mechanics are tending to their creations. Your companion stops alongside a tall robot, reminiscent of a firearm combine. You shudder to think what it does to a human with those blades, but then something inside moves. Crawling out the feeder house behind the blades is a mechanic, who looks around and is satisfied, waves another out. The second looks more like one of their patrons than the mechanic starved and scared. The pair skulk along the fence line and disappear out of sight. Fur coat guy turns back to you with a proud yet devious grin on his face. The Stout is pleased to make your acquaintance. Now, about that medical plan. He successfully taps his wrists. So basically you can give him the bracelet here, or you can basically, just give him the information or just about that trade. Let's ask about the trade. Ooh, a counteroffer, Stout says, stroking his chin. Okay, tell you what, he snaps into action. I got a thing. Some place that needs certain items liberated. He makes air quotes. You trade the bracelet, I'll let you in on the haul. Here's what's up. Camp Grayling, you heard of it, right? Big old military base somewhere in Michigan. No? Guess you have to be in certain circles. He flicks something invisible from his coat. All sorts of rumors about that place. The one thing that is sure, it's full of tech, and no one tinker with it. Meanwhile, he knocks the combine bot, producing a hollow ring. Sucks, right? Your part is simple. He places a hand on your shoulder. Maybe you've seen a bot around here. Tall, tin fellow, 6 legs, mauling some guy. That's the one. Well, wherever he came from, there's gotta be more. And if I'm doing this with farm machinery, imagine what I could do with an old Spidey Maulers. He phantom pines an explosion while puffing up his cheeks. But Stout waves a finger at nothing. I don't expect you to pilot these babies out of there. What I need you to do is get inside the base and bring back everything you can find on them. Schematics, blueprints, test data. The more the better. Be warned, it's a death machine nest. You think these are brutal? Stout gestures around the prep yard. Drunk, angry teenagers compared to the trained assassins. In return, he says, scratching his chin, I'm thinking the power structure will be shifting a bit around here, and a new one will be of IOU variety. He points at your chest. So deal of a lifetime, dude. Alright, so I can refuse this deal or I can just take the deal. Oh, let's take the deal for what this is all about. Nice, he laughs. He extends a hand. You meet it with yours. Okay, like I said, it's a death machine nest, but I've got some goodies for that. Let's say it's an advance payment or a signing bonus. Either way. Step 1, he says, counting it out with a finger. That bracelet. Still need me some crowd goodness after all. So you can basically tell him the information or you can just give him the bracelet. So let's give him the bracelet. You snap the printed bracelet from your wrist and hand it to him. He slides it through his fingers, reading the lettering on the strap. Nice, dude! He bobs his head. I may have to do an expedition there. And nice name! Haha! He starts unlatching a flight case near the combine bot. An array of electronic parts and gadgets fill the case, and he tosses the bracelet inside. Scanning his hand across the range of parts, he selects one, then closes the case again. Here! He hands you an orange box with screws mounted on it. Insurance for when you get there. Hold on to it. As for me, I may have to check into your fancy clinic soon. I think I'm coming down with a little something. He face coughs and clears his throat, grinning. Step 2, get inside. The goodish bad news is that your new toy will help, but you'll likely need to supplement with tricks of your own. Nobody's come back from there, though rumor has it some processors managed to embarrass the brass of Grayling back in the day. You probably have to rummage through some old newspaper stories to verify that, though. So basically, if you write through old newspapers, you get some clues on what's happened with Grayling here, but whatever. Anyway, that's step 2. Figure out how to get in. Step 3, find schematics. Somewhere convenient for personnel to get to day and night. Step 4, test data, download it off the control power, using this. He hands you a small flash drive. Plug and play. Easy. Step 5, bring it all to me. Got it? He looks over your shoulder. Oh, also you probably won't want these back. You turn and see familiar faces from the front gate. She drops a lockbox with your checked items. You cast a glance back at the Stout, and he shrugs. What, I can't do this alone. Your safest bet is to go through the fence, where they went. He thumbs over his shoulder, indicating the route the mechanic and the patron followed. Unless you're still hungry. He laughs, mocking a vomiting motion. See you around, dude. He calls over his shoulder, walking back to the warehouse. Stout's friend waits as you gather your things from the lockbox. Better make sure you empty that locker while you have a chance. Once ready, you head along the fence and return to the wastelands towards a high measure of normality. So, it's basically worth knowing that basically I've got all these stuff here. So here's my confiscated items. I can take these out, I can put them right here. Now, it's worth knowing that he gives you some very important items here. He basically gives you this small orange box with a screw mounts and makeshift power, blah blah, for the quest. We'll put this in here. He also gives you this flashlight. So Stout's flashlight for using a Camp Grayling. We'll put that there too. So I can use this to get in or out of ZomZom's right here, the ZomZom's thing right here. But yeah, we're basically more or less done here. So that was ZomZom's. And I'm just going to give you a very, disgusting hint. What do you think happens to the people that they kill? What happens to those entrails? And where do you think that meat that you ate came from? Yum, yum, yum. Alright, this has probably been a fairly long episode, and, well, you basically got to see my, the first event. Now, that can turn out a lot differently, by the way. There is a random number generator in play there, and it's possible that you might be the one who gets thrown into the arena, and you guys get killed there, but I lucked out, I didn't get called, and that's lucky for me. That's going to be it for this one. we'll see how far this guy goes. For now, take care.